we got pulled over. I'm in the passenger seat, and the cop came over to my window and asked if I had been drinking so that maybe I could just like drive, you know? It was the same cop that pulled me over. And I started talking to him. I was like, I just want to thank you. Thank you so much. He goes, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm good. Welcome to the Penthouse Frequency. I'm your host, Carla Elizondo, licensed psychotherapist and mindset coach. Here we explore personal development, spiritual awareness, emotional sobriety, and the tools that help you regulate so you can live from the inside out. We're not here to bypass life. We're here to alchemize it. No more basement thinking and feeling. It's all about the penthouse, baby. Let's dive in. 7 years ago today, I woke up as a sober person. Last night, 7 years ago today, I was definitely not a sober person. This episode is going to be talking about my sobriety journey. And you might get a little extra detail because, this is just an audio share. And I don't know, I just feel a little bit more open when I'm sharing on my podcast. So you're in for a treaty treat. May 6th, 2019, I woke up at 11:54 a.m., completely hungover from the night before. It was Cinco de Mayo, Cinco de Drinko, my friends. It was a Sunday. Okay, no, Cinco de Mayo was Sunday, May 5th, 2019. And I had already made the decision that that was going to be my last day of drinking. For a year, I committed to 1 year of not drinking. It was right before my birthday because my birthday is May 7th. So my birthday is going to be tomorrow. Happy birthday to me. And I remember I was thinking like, what can I do for myself in my new year of life? And I was actually thinking about that a couple weeks prior. So let's take it back. So it's 2019. Let's all see the scene. 2019, Los Angeles, California. Carla's in her apartment. I'm in grad school or finishing. And I was, I was drinking probably a couple nights a week at that point. It wasn't anything too wild, but I just couldn't hang like I used to. And trust me, years before I drank a lot more than that. But nobody would have thought I had a problem. I was successful. Things were going well. I was managing my life. But internally, I knew that something had to change and I was not happy. And I always journaled a lot. I was really self-reflective. I was into personal development. And I just knew there was a disconnect, like something wrong in my soul. And I just kept like crying out to God, praying. I just don't nothing's changing in my life. I feel so depressed. Like it wasn't working, Like, yeah, on the outside it was working-ish, but like on the inside I just knew something wasn't right. And I had gotten the inkling before to stop drinking. I always say I've heard the voice of God twice in my life, and both times was, girl, stop drinking. One of them was, Carla, you need to stop drinking. And the second was, don't buy the wine. And I did not listen to either of those voices. And so anyways, I know I'll probably be all over the place with this, but 2019, LA, in my apartment a couple weeks before my birthday, and I was like, what can I do for myself? What can I give myself for this next year of life? And I remember I was folding my laundry and I was putting my towels away in the hall cabinet, and I was like, this voice kind of just dropped in, this idea, this thought, stop drinking just for this year. Stop drinking. Start on your birthday. Go for 1 year without drinking. And I was like, okay, that kind of felt good. And I was like, okay. And immediately, I made that decision that starting on my birthday, starting May 7th of that year, I wouldn't drink. So of course I began to plan how I would go out with a bang. But so I was going to celebrate my birthday that weekend, which was, again, Sunday, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. And invited my friends, went out like it was like the Last Supper. And boy, was it one to remember. Where were we? It was North Hollywood. And if you know, you know. Some people were with me who are probably listening to this. And yeah, it was a wild one. It ended with a bang in all ways. But I had known that was the last rendezvous, at least for a year. And and of course I made unelegant choices and all that jazz. Anyways, I woke up the next morning, which was Monday, May 6th, and it was 11:54, and I opened up my phone and I already had it prepared. I had the I Am Sober app. If you are interested in getting sober from anything or abstaining, I highly recommend. It's a free app. When you open it up, they try to make you pay for something, but you don't have to. You can just have a free account. Anyways, my I Am Sober app, it is fantastic. I opened it up And I put day one, started at that time. It was 11:54 a.m. And so I still look at that every day as it reminds me. You could put like little reminders in. But anyways, so that was Monday, May 6th, 2019, my first day of sobriety. And there started my journey. And I remember the next day was Tuesday. It was my birthday, May 7th. And I went and saw like some of my friends, they were in Toastmasters. Shout out to Dave and Megan. Dave and Megan, they lived on a boat in Long Beach, in the Long Beach Marina. They were just amazing people. Anyways, they had a boat. They lived on a boat. And I went and visited them and just hung out. And I think I went to the Gladstones. There's like a Gladstones restaurant around there. And I got a big Bavarian pretzel. If you know me, you know I love a big hot pretzel. A big Bavarian pretzel. And I remember sitting by the water, by the marina in Long Beach. And I was journaling. I still have that journal entry. Of course, I have all my journal entries. I journal a lot. And I was like, here we go. Day 2 of being sober, because I had been sober for 2 days at that point. And I was like, I wonder what this year has to hold. Like a whole year of not drinking. I have never gone a year of not drinking since I was 14 years old. Okay. I started drinking at 14 years old. Bad influences. But honestly, my journey started again. I was like in high school and I was, hanging around with older kids. And immediately alcohol like quenched my anxiety and made me feel so warm and fuzzy inside and peaceful. And I should have known. Actually, I shouldn't have known. I was 14 years old. That was an issue. And I didn't know at that time that alcoholism had run in my family. Like I knew my mom's dad had issues, but I really didn't understand the disease at the time, or I didn't understand anxiety or mental health issues. But yeah, I remember, I think I first blacked out when I was like 16. I didn't even know I blacked out. My friends told me like, Carla, you were saying this, you were doing that. I was like, what? What are you talking about? Like I didn't even get it. I didn't understand. Like, how could I be saying that? I don't remember that. And, that started my journey of, blacking out. I would do that often and just make really unelegant choices. And I thought it was who I was. And my friends, rightly so, thought that's who I was too. But I had a problem and I didn't expect them. Looking back now, like they had all the right to be upset with me, rightly so, because it was my choice. And I, burned some bridges. But, people come in seasons and it was all for the better and better for everybody involved. Because who you surround yourself with. Trust me, I wasn't the only one that was drinking. I just was the only one that couldn't hang. So anyways, and I think everybody holds you to a certain standard. Like, well, I don't fucking black out. I don't do this. Why do you do it? It's like, it's not a choice. So, anyways, so that was kind of my journey, knowing that I had an issue. But oh my God, yeah, that was in teenage years during high school parties. It wasn't very regular, but it got more regular when I got older. 18 in college, started working at a restaurant. It was just a culture. It was just in the culture of restaurant, bartending, all that kind of stuff you would go out for drinks after your shift and stuff like that. So it was very much in the culture, very much in my environment and the people I surrounded myself with. But again, I was very driven. I finished my degrees in college, and then I graduated with my bachelor's in radio, television, and film. And I had a big graduation party. My parents got me a margarita machine, the Margarita Man. It was fantastic. And a week later, I was at another friend's graduation party and I drove home. I would drink and drive. Horrible, I know, but you always think you're the exception to the rule. You think you could do it. And all of my friends did it. If they'd admit it or not, they all did it. But of course, I was the only one that got caught and I deserved it. And I'm glad I did. It was a turning point for me. It's going to be 20 years, you guys, this year. 20 years, because that was back in 2006. So it's going to be the 20-year anniversary. It was June 11th, 2006 when I got my DUI. But yeah, I got pulled over on the way home from that graduation party. I will never forget. Ugh, it was terrible. It was terrible. And the cops were nice-ish. They drove my car over to the local Target parking lot and left it there so it wouldn't be like impounded or towed away. And they were actually really cool. I remember the cops were super cool. Very, very sweet. Oh, you know what? This is a wild story. So I remember the guy who wrote my ticket, the DUI. I remember his name, obviously, because it was on my ticket. He was the officer that gave me the ticket. Literally a couple months later, another friend at the time who we had a couple beers, but she was driving because, of course, I couldn't. I was in big trouble. I got my license taken away. But again, I tell you, all my friends drink and drive. And everyone will say, oh, we all think we can handle it. But drinking and driving is drinking and driving. Anyway, she was driving. She got pulled over. We got pulled over. I'm in the passenger seat. And the cop came over to my window and asked if I had been drinking so that maybe I could just like drive, and they were pretty cool. It was the same cop that pulled me over. And I started talking to him. I was like, I just want to thank you. Thank you so much. He goes, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm good. The same cop pulled me over and I was like grateful. I was like, thank you so much for being so nice that night. And he's like, how you doing, sweetie? Anyways, while my friend is getting like the field sobriety test, this weird, like big loud noise happened and some car like barreled off the freeway and like crashed into the side. Immediately the cops that were with us dropped what they were doing and left the scene. And me and my friend were just like, what the fuck just happened? And she got off the hook and we left and we were pretty, it was like a wake-up call. I mean, shit, I had already been woken up, but I think it was a wake-up call for her, but I don't know what she ended up doing. But I'm drinking a cherry bubbly, the BUBLY, those sparkly drinks. They're my favorite, cherry bubblies. Anyways, so if you hear me pausing, I'm drinking because I am not going to edit this episode. So what else? Again, the story's going to be all over the place, but it's going to be a fun ride. So yeah, I got a DUI. A week later, I saw the cop. I thanked him. My friend got lucky, saved by the grace of the guy who flew off the freeway. But that I definitely have not. I don't think I ever drank and drove after that. Maybe like one time I had like one drink and I drove like down the street and I was like the whole time I was like sweating. But I have never really like been drunk and drove after that again. But it didn't stop me from drinking because I didn't have a problem, or at least I didn't think I did. And the people I surrounded myself with didn't think I did either. It was like, that's what you do when you're young. You drink too much and you act stupid, right? But it got progressively worse. And yeah, long story short, I, made decisions and ended up really going down different paths. And again, although I continued pursuing my work and my degree and, going after my goals and dreams, which alcohol was always involved. And it was like, I had different times of life where it was better than others, but it was always there through my 20s. And I just wasn't my full self. And then in my 30s oh my God, I was in a relationship. I had to drink every day. And it had nothing to do with that person. I was just so unhappy. I was so unhappy. Oh, I was so unhappy with my life, Jesus. And I just drank to cope, just to get through the day. I mean, I wasn't like day drinking. It was just that night. Like I would have a nightcap every night. It was just like, that was probably the worst of it. And I felt like I was getting sick. I probably was like building some sort of disease in my body, like feeling like I was dying. But anyways, so after that relationship had broken up, I really started to consider, like, I remember it was really, really hard getting over that because not just the relationship, but just, breakups are hard and it has really, partly to do with the person, but it was a bigger issue at hand. It was a bigger quote breakup, but I just remember thinking, I don't want to drink through this. Like, I really want to stay sober. And I kind of did. And I was really proud of myself, actually. I really did heal through that very, very nicely. And it was very, very beautiful. But I still, like, the behavior kicked up again. And I just remember it was probably, around 2019. And I went over to my friend Ulysses and Jazz. We were watching the Golden Globes in 2019. And we were having vodka. Like, I was drunk and I fell down the stairs and I like sprained my ankle and I couldn't work because I bartended at the time. And that was like, I had to get a sick note and like, it was a whole ordeal. And that was like my only form of income. I had to like go on unemployment. It was like, okay, now this is a fucking issue. This is an issue. And so I'm leaving a lot of details out. Maybe I'll go into more details of certain things later, but this is kind of the big picture of what kind of led me to getting sober. And so that's when I kind of knew, like, I remember because before I went over to their house, before I went over to Ulysses' house to watch the Golden Globes, I was journaling. Like, I think I had gotten really drunk the night before. And I was like, I was so hungover and I felt like such garbage. And I was like, I swear, God, like I was writing in my journal and I was crying and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to drink anymore. I don't want to do this. And then that night, like I got blasted again and I was like, oh my God, I have no control over this. Like this is so bad. So I think that's really when I started to feel, and that was probably in February, January, February. And then something else happened in March. In March, I think I had done something. Again, like when I drink, I would do things really against my values, like just not, just unelegant choices. Okay. And I just felt so ashamed and just like, that's not who I am. This is not the person I want to be. And I'm like, ugh. So I think by April time, like, yeah, right before my birthday, I was like, that idea came in my mind of like, I'm not going to drink for a year. But again, I still didn't think I had a problem. I don't know what I thought. I didn't think clearly. But anyways, so we're back at 2019. I made the decision to not drink for a year. And a friend at the time had got in sober 6 months prior. And so 6 months into my sobriety, she hit her year of sobriety and she invited me to her local meeting, her women's group, to celebrate her 1 year and to like give her her cake. And it was the first time, actually, it was not the first time I was in an AA meeting because I had to go to AA meetings for my DUI, which I only went to one and then I forged the signatures on the rest of them. Total addict behavior. But so 6 months into my sobriety, my friend hits her 1 year mark, gets her cake at AA. And I'm in the room and I'm like, oh, look at these women. I don't have a problem. Like, wow, these women really have issues. Like they have to go to AA. Like I just made a choice for a year. Like, I'm different. I'm special. It was like, oh my God. Then I started to think like maybe I need to get support. Oh, no. You know what had happened was during that 6 months, I had been doing a lot of reflection and I was looking over my journals, like my old journals. And I just, for the first time, 6 months into my sober journey without alcohol, right? I was realizing like, oh my God, like I was actually already planning the next year, like my next birthday, I would ring it in with a glass of champagne and like celebrate. And I was like, Carla, like that's an issue. If you are already counting down to drinking again, like you're going to be back at freaking square one. So what had happened was gave the cake, was around the women, didn't think I was one of those women, one of those people. I don't have a problem. And I was looking over my journals and I was looking over all of the times I was in pain or made stupid decisions or was embarrassed or ashamed of the things I did. And I was like, what's the common denominator? Alcohol. Every single time I've ever, and I can hand to God with my full chest, 10 toes down, as the kids say. Any mistake, any bad thing, any bad choice that I've ever made in my life was when I was drinking. It was when I was under the influence. And it was like stark in my face when I was reading these journals. And like it clicked for the first time. I'm like, oh my God, like alcohol is the problem. Who knew? Eureka. And so I started inquiring about going to meetings. It was during COVID, I think, at this time. Maybe. I can't remember. Was it during COVID? Anyways, there was a lot of online meetings. Maybe I went to a few in person. But I started like listening to people's stories and they were like kind of like me, like, oh, I didn't think I had a problem. And, we always think we're the exception to the rule. Nothing bad's going to happen to us. We don't have issues. Other people do. And just comparing stories, right? So 6 months in, realized I had a problem, started going to meetings. And then I heard this woman speak at a speaker's meeting and tell her story. And it sounded just like mine. And I was like, fudge, like I really resonated with her. And she was taking on sponsors. And so I contacted her for her to become mine, and she did. And we worked the 12 steps together. We would meet, 1 hour a week, and she walked me through the big book and the 12 steps. And it was just miraculous. And what I realized through that process was like, I have a problem. Like, and then when I realized I had a problem, when I was actually calling around, like looking for sponsors before I heard her speak, because not everybody in recovery is built differently. Like the rooms, the AA rooms and like recovery rooms aren't the same. Like there's people at all levels. There's good and bad meetings. There's people who are assholes and people who are great. So if you ever get deterred by meetings, that's why I always tell clients that come to me or like people that ask for advice, I'm like, find a meeting that's for you, because like you could get scared away from some meetings. Like they're not created equally. So find one that resonates with you. Okay. Because you can find great ones. Oh, I have fantastic ones. If you're interested, message me. I'll share the wealth. But what else? I just saw a message come in from my friend. Okay. So where are we? I'm going to meetings. I realize I have a problem. Oh, and I always say um there is the funniest story. I think it's Steve-O from Jackass, that guy. His story, he's sober, but he was like, his stories are wild. And I don't know if it's in the big book or if it's just one of his analogies, but he talks about how there are people, like we call them normal people who can drink normally, and alcoholics, people who have issues with alcohol, disordered drinking, as the DSM would call it. And he said normal people are like cucumbers. They can drink a little bit and they're normal. They're cucumbers. They're nice and fresh cucumbers. They could drink a couple. They don't get pickled. But then there are pickles. You've drank so much. You've sat in the juice so long, metaphorically speaking, you're pickled. Once you're a pickle, you can never go back. You're a fucking pickle. You're a pickle. I'm a pickle. I realized I was a pickle. And I always say, like, you know that scene in Clueless when, what's her name? Not Claire. Cher is walking around that fountain and she's shopping her pain away. And she realizes that she loves Josh. She goes, I love Josh. That's the way I see myself. I'm like, I'm a pickle. I'm a fucking pickle. I'm not a cucumber. I've already crossed that line. I can never go back. I'm a pickle. And so I got serious about going to meetings and just being honest with myself. And it was hard for a while. I was like, I learned about future tripping. Oh, sorry, I cut myself off. I was talking about before I was calling around for sponsors, kind of interviewing sponsors and seeing if they would take me on. And this one woman, she was like, as you call them, like a big book, like a hard ass, like a book thumper. Like she was fundamentalist, and I was asking her questions and like, just sharing my story. And she goes, are you even an alcoholic? Like, do you even have a problem? And I was like, are you even allowed to ask me that? Anyways, it's like I had to prove my alcoholism. And like, again, there's different people that are in recovery. All are different. Find your people. But she definitely was not my people. She like scared me. Like I wasn't crazy enough to be an alcoholic in her book. And I was like, okay, you're not the person for me. Anyways, I forgot that part of the story. But okay. So getting serious. And it was hard at first to imagine never drinking again for the rest of my life. I was like, I can't wrap my brain around that. Like, I don't see a world without alcohol for the rest of my life as the sky is blue. I can't fathom that. And it's just too hard to wrap my brain around. So that's why they say one day at a time. Don't future trip. Take it one day at a time. Today, I'm not going to drink. And that's my decision. And so I went on a lot of walks. Again, I think it was during COVID. And I just really started to focus on the present moment and feel how good it felt. They call it the pink cloud or something. I'm still on it every single day. I'm not kidding you guys. 7 years in, today is my 7th year. I am so fucking grateful I'm sober. And when I go to the grocery store and I like see the alcohol section or the booze or the wine, I'm like, I don't have to worry about it. That was the one thing when I had made the decision in the beginning in 2019 to go a year without drinking. I had made the decision. It was like, there was not an option. Even if someone offered me, it's like, no, I'm not drinking for a year. It created this freedom. Like there was like the monkey was off my back. I didn't have to like flip flop. That's what decision does, by the way. When you make a decision, you don't have another option. You like burn the boats, as Napoleon Hill says. You don't give yourself an escape hatch. And that's what Bob Proctor helped me make a decision, like learn. That was my first time learning about decision. I actually did a speech in Toastmasters about my decision to stop drinking. And I actually won my little Toastmasters meeting that day. Very proud. I actually have it recorded. I have it somewhere. Anyways, but making that decision changed my life. Like even starting off the decision just for the year, I felt instantly relaxed. I didn't have to fight with myself. I didn't have to say, oh, am I going to be good tonight? I'll have a couple drinks, or maybe I'm trying to be good. I'm not going to want to. I didn't have to worry about it. But then I've clearly found myself like I couldn't hang around certain people. Like everyone just, that was the way they were. They would just drink. And I'm like, who am I hanging around with? Where are these people going with their life? And I was one of those people. And so it just opened my eyes to a lot of things. So yeah, I realized that I was not going to start drinking the year in. It was going to be more than a year. It was a decision I was really going to make, and I've been taking it one day at a time. But every day I'm realizing that it was so pointless for me. It's like we think it gives us something. I thought alcohol gave me something that it really didn't. It was an illusion of comfort or relaxation. And I love my sleep. Okay, I am a Taurus through and through. You do not fucking sleep when you've been drinking. Your body's trying to metabolize it. It's turning into sugar and fat and hello, gaining weight from alcohol, just pure sugar metabolized into the body. You can pass out. Like I used to think I had to drink to pass out and like get good sleep, but I would wake up in the morning feeling like ass, even though I was passed out for 12 hours, because your body doesn't rest. It doesn't sleep when you've been drinking. So if you're still underneath that illusion, you're not. And again, no judgment. Like this is not about everyone getting sober, but if you know, oh, because I was like not, I loved working out. I love my Orange Theory fitness. And I was like missing I was like, wasn't feeling my full self when I was still drinking. Like, even if I had a glass of wine the night before, like I just didn't want to wake up for my workout. And I was like, just feeling a lack of energy. It was just like my skin was dull. I'd break out, gaining weight. I'm like, ew. So many health benefits from not drinking in my personal experience. And yeah, so I know that was a random bunch of information, but if you have any questions about anything or you want to hear, a deeper dive in any of the stories, comment. I think you could comment on like podcasts, right? I'd be happy to share. But that is how I came to the decision to get sober. And today I'm celebrating my 7th year. And today I woke up, it's that time of the month almost. I woke up like physiologically, not mentally, but physically very anxious. I get like, I don't know if it's like a chemical dump from, that menstrual cycle, but I just felt really anxious today. And so I've been really mindful with, I did my breath work but I was kind of in a really bad mood. And it's gotten a lot better because of emotional regulation, thank God. Emotional sobriety, now that I'm physically sober. My emotional sobriety is everything, but I cannot tell you how wonderful my life is. And I would not be here. I'd probably be dead. I'm serious if I didn't get sober. And again, I know everyone's journey is different, but you don't have to be a total like problem like drinker. You don't have to be like blacking out or getting DUIs or doing wild things. Even if you are dependent on like 1 or 2 glasses of wine and you just don't feel your best, or there's something in you that you just don't feel clarity, because it can show up in so many different ways. Like what would your life look like if you didn't drink? Even if you don't think you drink a lot, like, and I always say, if you can't stop drinking for 6 months, like you have a problem. If you can't stop drinking for a year, like you have a problem. Sorry. Like it's just a drink. I remember in my early sobriety, I was like really talking to my friend who got sober before me. And she's like, and I was kind of like arguing, like going back and forth, like not arguing with her, but like arguing for the disease. And I was like, but what's the problem if I could just have one drink? She goes, it's just a drink. What is in that drink that you can't let go of? It was like I was dependent on it. So many things are flashing in my mind. Like I knew. I remember one time, I think I was in Mexico, and I was fully prepared to drink that night, but the grocery store had stopped selling alcohol at like 6 o'clock. And I just remember this panic that came over me. Like, I'm going to have to go through the rest of the night without alcohol. Like, it made me so anxious and like restless. They call it restless, irritable, and discontent. Like, that had to have been back in like 2016. I remember that feeling very clearly. Like I always needed access to it, even if I didn't drink. Like I knew I had to have it. Like I was dependent on it, like in my mind. It was like I couldn't get by without it. It was just so wild. Yeah. I have so many stories, y'all. So many stories of this, but yeah, I don't think I've ever told that much detail. But yeah, it's 7 years today. I'm so grateful, and I'm so happy. And I never thought I'd talk about it. Like I remember journaling after I got sober and I was like, God, I will never tell anybody that I had a problem. I'm never going to tell anybody. And I just remember this feeling of like, yes, you are. You are, and you're going to help people. And I'm like, oh, hell no. No. Well, here we are. But yeah. Anyways, I think that's it. I'm going to stop right here. I hope you enjoyed that. I don't even know if I said anything helpful, but I kind of just wanted to share on the day of my 7-year anniversary of sobriety. Yay me. And if you are struggling with anything, it might not be alcohol for you. It might be, shopping or spending or, pornography or sex or, relationships. There's, Sex and Love Anonymous. There's, codependency. You can get addicted to food, social media, scrolling. We can get addicted to a lot of things. And we just, I encourage everybody to look over the 12 steps. They're very helpful. Use ChatGPT. And I 12-step fear these days. Go and say, write me the 12 steps for fear. Write me anything that you feel powerless over, whether it be like a behavior, a person, a thought. Go into ChatGPT and say, I'm addicted to dating. Give me the 12 steps, towards this. Because the 12 steps are about, alcohol, but they have Narcotics Anonymous and Overeaters Anonymous and, but I think I actually did that for a client. We were talking about fear and we had ChatGPT write the 12 steps, but for fear. That was pretty cool. Yeah. And you know what? Like alcohol for me was like an authority issue. Like I was so angry. Like I felt so disconnected. It was like, what was it? It was like, fear that I wouldn't get my needs met. That was in my reflection. Like, that's what I came down to. Like, why did I drink? Because I felt like my needs weren't being met. And when I drank, all my needs were met. And I was like, had existential rage. I was mad at God that I was a good person. Why isn't my life working? And I was afraid that my needs weren't going to be met. So I had to meet my own needs in any way, any means possible. And it was very humbling. It's surrender, right? Serious surrender when you stop an addiction. So who was it? Was my friend Jackie Monahan. I think she taught me that phrase, surrender bender. I'm on a surrender bender. I use that all the time. Thanks, Jackie. She's another sober sister of mine and a fellow Course in Miracles reader, student. But yeah, A Course in Miracles has definitely helped me too. That is my spiritual and emotional sobriety, A Course in Miracles. That's my big blue book for my emotional sobriety. And then, of course, the 12 Steps is the other blue book for my physical sobriety. But yeah, if you're interested, if you think you have a problem with drinking, go to a meeting. There's meetings all around, every corner. More than Starbucks, you would be shocked at how many meetings there are. And online. There's you can look on YouTube for AA speaker meetings. There's a lot of fun stories. You can really hear yourself in those stories if you have a problem. But yeah, if it runs in your family, if you think you have a problem, if you black out, if you make inelegant choices, you don't have to live that way. You can make a decision. So anyways, reach out for help. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm here to support. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I might go see a movie tonight. I might go see the Michael Jackson movie. The day I was born in 1983, I think one of his songs, it was like, was it Billie Jean or Beat It? I think it was Beat It was the number one song. Let me ask. Hey, Siri, what was the number one song in May 7th, 1983?
Now playing Beat It by Michael Jackson on Spotify.
Can you hear that? She started playing it. This was number one when I was born. You know it. I hope I don't get flagged for this. Let me take it off. Hold on. Hey, you know what, Michael? I did beat it. I beat my addiction. Anyways, all right, I'll stop yapping. I love you all so much. Thank you for your love and support. We've got this. I will see you next time on the Penthouse Frequency, my friends.